Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name's Mercedes. I am a career coach and I'm a corporate recruiter. Today we're going to go over a live resume review. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how I critique a resume, showing you one of my community members' resume who was nice enough to volunteer their resume for this video. So we are going to dive right in, and again, I'm going to share my screen and we are going to walk through an entire resume critique. So like, share, and subscribe. Let's get started. Okay, so as I mentioned, I am a corporate recruiter, so what I'm going to do is go through this resume and give you my unfiltered thoughts. Like, honestly, if I was looking at this as a recruiter, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I may think are a concern or done really well, and I want you to let me know in the comment section whether or not you agree with me. Okay, so to start off, this resume is absolutely beautiful. Like, I really love everything about how it looks. Just the visual appeal of it is really great. So in that sense, it really lures me in and it makes me want to continue reading through the resume. Not everyone cares as much about formatting, but when you look at resumes all day, things like this resume really stands out. So to highlight that, I really love the use of color. I really highly recommend that. So there's this beautiful blue bold header up there that really brings out this person's where their name may be. And then they're also using color to help attract your eye to key areas. So that's one of my biggest things. You should always use color to help guide the people through your resume as they're reading it. So where we have the contact and profile, education, work experience, and even their titles have a really pretty blue color that matches their header, which again just really helps to divide the resume in a way that's going to help you and encourage people to read through your resume. With having so many resumes to look through, people don't spend a ton of time looking through resumes a couple of seconds before they decide really whether or not your resume is worth continuing to read. So if you have things like this that make it easier, that's really going to help you get some additional consideration, even if it's just a couple of seconds. So let's start from the top and go all the way down. So I really like here this big lettering with the name. I also like that they have clearly identified who they are at the very top by using human resources, training and development, and talent acquisition. So right there, before I even read through any of their resume, I can clearly define or clearly see that this person is somebody that I'm going to want to look at if they are if I'm recruiting for any of these positions. So human resources, training, development, talent acquisition, if I'm recruiting for any of those, I'm definitely going to keep reading. Be careful with this. Some people use this section to just generally describe who they are, but it has nothing to do with the position that they're applying for. So you definitely, if you're going to use a header, I really recommend it. Just make sure that it's relevant to the role, that it's going to help encourage a recruiter or a hiring manager to continue reading your resume. Also, the name is really big, so it's easy to see your name. That's really great. If they're hopefully really not happening anymore, but if they're looking through a pile of resumes, your name's going to be there. What I would say at the very top, I don't think that this KS, which is this individual's initials, is really helpful. I think it just kind of takes up more space than is needed on the resume, where you could really push that out and use more space in areas like your work experience and this left side. So I'd really recommend taking that. I don't really think it's adding anything to your resume at all. Okay, so you will notice that this resume has 2 columns. That's actually my recommended format. I think it helps you save space. It also helps you create sections, and it just makes it a lot easier, more pleasant to read when you kind of break up your resume this way. And also in terms of visual appeal, it's just a lot more engaging. So if we start here at the left side, contact, number, address, email, LinkedIn, those are really great things to include and to have them clearly defined over here. So obviously I've redacted this individual's information, but I really like that they have it over here where it's not making the header any longer than it needs to be. Then we go into education. I really love this. They have their 2 degrees clearly outlined, their program, where they went, and the location. One thing that I would say here that you can add into their education is If you are more of a recent graduate or you're trying to transition into a new career path using your education, I would really recommend that you put some information about the type of coursework that you took or some extracurricular activities. Often, for instance, this person looks like they're looking at human resources. Well, if they're looking at a talent acquisition or a training and development position, they might want to write down relevant courses that they have taken in those programs, and that really helps align them better to the role, where people who are reading it can see, oh, okay, this person had specific training in these areas, not just generally human resources, which obviously you can read in between the lines and figure that out, but I think we want to be as clear and use this time to really make the best case for us getting a phone screen or an interview that we can. Scrolling down, here we have areas of expertise. I really love just the how pretty the layout is, where it goes from the bigger font to the little one. That kind of just makes me happy. But it doesn't necessarily have to look like this, but I think it looks great. I like that this person has used an area of expertise. If you use, you can use this wording or you can use skills, but I do really like that this individual has outlined those clearly. What I would say is I do see some areas of expertise on here that are not necessarily related to human resources. I mean, some of them are, right? But maybe procurement or accounting is not relevant to the positions that you're applying for, like maybe talent acquisition, right? We may need more information about whether or not you are able to recruit people, whether or not you know how to write job descriptions, something like that in this area of expertise can really align. So we want to make sure, even though we have this area and we can use this on multiple different types of applications, we really want to try and tailor every section of our resume, but specifically this one, because people do tend to just screen or scroll through these. So I would definitely recommend that you only put the information in this area of expertise that's relevant to the position that you're applying with. Down to technical skills, this is great. I think that you can probably add some more technical skills if there's other systems that you've worked with, maybe certain ways of doing things that's more technical. Like some people will put Six Sigma on their resume under technical skills, and that just kind of adds some information here. One thing that I would say that you can add here doesn't necessarily need to go in education or technical skills, but you can, if you have any training or other activities that you're engaged with, maybe volunteering, you can also use some of this space that you're maybe taking away by taking some of those areas of expertise away. You can kind of fill that left side of your resume up with some of those ideas. So just kind of think about maybe some of the things that you're involved in. All right, so now I'm going to zoom in a little bit and look at the profile. Okay, so looking at this profile, it does seem a little long. I really recommend avoiding large paragraphs on your resume, because it kind of, right now I'm doing this resume review, so I read through the entire thing, but generally I would not be reading through, or I would be trying my very best to read through big paragraphs of text on a resume. It just slows you down. So my biggest recommendation here would be to condense this. Now, there's a lot of good content, but I think that maybe there's other ways that you can sprinkle it in through your resume. I haven't read through your work experience yet, but that would be my real recommendation for this section. So one thing that may be able to help this is taking a more tailored approach to the position that you're applying for. So for instance, I know you're looking at training and development and talent acquisition. So maybe you want to have a resume that's geared more towards training and development. And in this profile, you only highlight things that are related to that. And also, if you have any talent acquisition geared resume, you only highlight things in this profile that are related to talent acquisition. That will definitely help you appear more aligned to positions. Of course, if you are applying for like a generalist type role, well, of course this makes sense, but I always encourage people to try and make their resume as specific as they can, using the position description to really tailor these things. So I'm just reading through this. It's a lot of great content. I did see some kind of spelling errors and a missing period in some places. So just, of course, always double check that. I really recommend throwing your resume in Grammarly and getting some feedback from that. And it's free for the basic use. So I would say go ahead and do that. But other than that, I think the content is really good. It just needs to be streamlined. And I'm just going to look through here, and I'm going to assume based on this that this person is trying to transition from some other type of, from a different career path, and they're trying to transition into HR or maybe back to human resources. And so I think that's probably why they front loaded this profile. What I would say is you can change this profile into more of a competencies based section where you list, you may put competencies up here, and then you could list those competencies such as HR business strategy or labor relations, employee engagement. And then you can kind of expound a little bit on how you've done those things with maybe a bullet or two, especially if they're true accomplishments. And that will help you break up your resume when you maybe do kind of more of a bulleted competency section here. I don't recommend that for every resume, but especially when you are trying to transition to a position that you haven't quite been in your career, that's a really great way to demonstrate where you have had those experiences in your career if they're not evident in your work experience. So maybe just switch this up a little bit so it's a little bit more engaging right at the front. We're going to go ahead and go into this work experience now. We're going to talk about the formatting and the bullets. Okay, so right off the bat, this is a really great format. I love how they have the company name here, the location, the dates, and then they have their title here, which I've redacted again just to make sure that this really isn't going to identify anybody. But overall, I really love the structure. I do generally really love these type of introductory sentences here, but this I don't think does a great job. I think they're trying to replace bullets with this. So usually this paragraph is more of a summary speaking to your role or the context of the role, or so maybe like, if you were in human resources, you may say I was in a, how many people human resources department, serving this many employees in this type of company, right? It's supposed to allow you to give you some additional context around your role, but really shouldn't replace bullets. So for instance, like exceed customer expectations, that should be its own bullet. Product and service information, providing product and service information should definitely be its own bullet. And somebody should be able to clearly describe some of these things because that's impactful for them. I also noticed that there's only one bullet here. So overall, I see that it's not a lot of consistency between how many bullets are in each resume. And so I think I would try and keep that a little bit more consistent. You don't have to have the exact same resumes in every single section, but really just evening it out just a little bit would be helpful. What I would say, I think that this bullet needs a little bit more detail. So I'll probably link to another one of my videos about star stories, and you want to create a resume the same way that you do when you're preparing for interviews and you create a star story. A star stands for situation, task, action, and result. So every single bullet that you put on your resume, they don't have to be super long, but they should address all of those things. So situation and task, right? So situation is what was going on. Your task is what you were asked to do or what you are tasked to do. Action is what action you took. And R is result. So let me know what the outcome of your actions were, and if you can, quantify that. So that is the best way that you can build a bullet. The best things are that at the beginning of each of these, this person is using mostly action verbs, so you always want to start with that. So there's a lot of good basics to these bullets, but they can just provide a little bit more insight. For instance, like, what did you do to automate processes? What did you do to improve efficiency by 86%? If you don't kind of tell me what you did to do that, it doesn't really mean much to me. And I think that's the same for most employers and recruiters as well. So just kind of build out those bullets a little bit. Going down here, I can totally see where this individual is kind of has spent more time on this section because it's a job that they were in for a longer period of time, as well as probably has a lot more human resources experience because that looks like what they're going for. So these bullets are a lot more fleshed out, which is great. And some of them even have numbers like this 1.5 million budget. So what I would say is to always continue to make sure that you have results in here. So for instance, you improved the performance metrics, but what did that mean? How did you do that? You know, I need to know a little bit more about why you were successful in this. So I think that's my general senses for all of these bullets, but overall there's a lot of good pieces in here. Just kind of rework them to give us some added detail without making these bullets too long. And also, this is a really great overview right here. This may be going a little bit more into a bullet, but overall the summary is really great. And down here, I would say the same thing. We have a lot of good basics, even some numbers, actions, but I think we need a little bit more detail here as well. Okay, so overall, this was a really well done resume. I really love the format. I really love the way that they've used the space. And I think most of the work probably needs to be done, a little bit of work in the profile and a little bit of work here, kind of just maximizing those bullets. Again, I'll look to post a link below to how you can kind of improve those bullets. All right, so I will see you all next time. Don't forget to drop a comment below and let me know what you thought. Were there some things that you thought weren't great about this resume or really great about this resume? And were there differences that you had when you reviewed this resume? Let me know below. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. If you want my complete resume roadmap blueprint, you can download that in the description. So check it out. I will see you in my next video. Bye.